Because there are so many women that do this and they have no idea how much it turns men off. Like, I can almost guarantee you've done this with at least one, if not two men that you've dated over the last couple years. And you think you're being honest, you think you're showing up genuine and authentic, and you have no idea. This is why you can't make it past 2-3 dates, and why every dating stage never progresses into anything. You have no idea that you are doing this one thing that's turning them all off.
Girl pant up, me run this. Them can't stop, can't head so high, ground can't drop.
Hello, it is your girl Tara Dakota. Welcome to my channel. Okay, welcome to my cable channel. All right, y'all. So I wanted to really go over this one mistake that I know for a fact so many girls are doing. I used to make this mistake all the time. I used to always be like, oh my God, I'm just going to be so myself and so upfront, and I'm going to show up authentically, and they're going to appreciate that. The right one is going to appreciate that. But here is the thing. It's not that this is a bad thing to do. It's just that you're doing it too early on. This is not something that belongs in the early phases of dating. This is not something that belongs in the talking stages. This is something that you have to do or should do after there's been trust built up between the two of you, after you guys have been talking and dating for a while. You trust this person, you know this person, and you're not afraid to be vulnerable. And the thing that I'm talking about is oversharing and trauma dumping. Going into a situation and feeling like, oh my God, I feel like I've known him for so long. He feels like my soulmate. He feels like my twin flame. I just want to tell him everything, and I just want to be upfront with him, and I just want him to know me. And I like, girl, you do not need to tell him every single detail, every single piece of trauma you've experienced, what your ex did to you. That is not something for the first, I would say, the first 3 or 4 dates. That is not something for the first month. That is something that should wait. Let him get to know you. Leave space. Let there be a little bit of tension. Let there be a little mystery. Let him come to discover you in phases. Let him peel you back like an onion, layer after layer. Give him time and opportunity to earn getting to know you. You coming out the gate swinging with all the things you went through as a child, all the things that your ex did to you, it is literally signaling off red flags, and it's making him say, hold up, is this somebody I should be dating? Her life seems messy. She seems like she's been through a lot. She seems like she's experienced a lot of trauma. Is this going to affect the way that she shows up here? Is she someone that I should even be dealing with? And you could be an incredible person. The two of you would probably make the most amazing couple, but your red flags are already signaling to his brain that you are not the one. This woman is not a safe connection for me. She has a lot going on. She's been through too much. I feel you when you do that, because I used to do that all the time. I used to be like, I just want him to know me. I just want him to know what I come from. I just want him to know what I've dealt with. And I want him, because really what you want, and this is what I wanted too, so I know this is what you want. What you want is to feel seen. You want to feel heard. You want to feel safe. You want to feel like you can share yourself, the most intimate parts of yourself, with someone. And you can. But you can't do it up front. And the more you do this up front and the more rejection you experience, it's just going to reaffirm your belief that maybe you are difficult to connect with. Maybe you're not worthy of love. Maybe you have been through too much. Maybe you are too broken. Maybe you are too traumatized. And there's really no such thing. There are women who have gone through, the most intense traumas, sexual traumas, things like that, and they still end up in happy and whole relationships and marriages, right? But you have to work in your best interest during those first dates, during that early period where you guys are still getting to know each other. Keep it light, keep it fun. You don't have to lie about or deceive or necessarily be malicious in your hiding anything from him, but you want to be very careful with what you share very early on. You want to pace yourself. You want to take your time. You want to see, is this a safe person? You're not auditioning for him, right? You are not coming and saying, let me share this much of myself so that I can see, or he can see, that I'm worthy, or I can be validated that I'm worthy because he's going to choose me despite all of this, right? You have to learn how to hold them and when to fold them. You have to know when to hold on to something that is sacred and intimate and vulnerable. You have to make sure that the person in front of you is safe, and you cannot do that if you're letting out all of your business way up front. That man don't need to know that much about you during that first date, during that second date. I don't care how comfortable he makes you feel. I don't care how safe you think he makes you feel. Not like you have to pace yourself, or you're going to keep scaring them off and having them run to the hills, because nobody wants to deal with the woman. No healthy man at least wants to deal with a woman who is an emotional fixer-upper. And when you're trauma dumping up front, that is what you're coming off as. You're coming off as an emotional fixer-upper. You're coming off as a problematic woman who you'll be a difficult person to connect with. She has all this trauma going on. Men don't know how to deal with emotions, especially not ours, right? And so if you seem like you come with a lot of, emotional work, that might scare a man away. While women fall for potential and we love a good project, and we'll get behind a man who seems like he's on some type of trajectory, or he's not the person he's going to be today, but he's going to be that person in the future. I see it for him. Men don't really think in those terms, right? And so they don't go for the fixer-upper. They don't go for the woman who she just needs somebody to believe in her. She just needs somebody to get behind her. She just needs somebody who's going to just like put it all on leave it all on the floor for her. They don't think in those terms. They like their woman ready-made. They don't look at a woman who's overweight or obese and say, you know what? I bet you if she just 90 days in the gym, she could have the body of her dreams. And I know if I just went to the gym with her, I know if I just helped her meal prep and meal plan, I know if I just helped her, get her health and weight back on track, she would be the most beautiful, aesthetically pleasing woman I've ever been with. Men don't think in those terms. If they like a fit woman, they're going to date a fit woman. Only women will say, you know what, I like a man who is earning a certain amount and who is a provider, and still date the man who can't do that for him because he has potential to become that, right? Only women do that. Men don't. Men aren't doing that. And so when you come off as a woman who has so much baggage, who has so many things that she's experienced that was traumatic, especially when you frame it that way. A lot of you guys are framing your experiences as trauma. You're not saying, oh, I went through this and it hurt. I went through this and I was disappointed. I went through this and it changed the way that I show up. It changed the way that I did things. It changed the way that I viewed myself. A lot of you guys, because of all the therapy language that we're, picking up online, we're picking it up on TikTok and Instagram and even YouTube, and we're applying it to our lives, not even in ways that are accurate or relevant. Right? Just because you experienced a thing doesn't mean the thing traumatized you. And a lot of you guys are calling your experiences trauma. And when you go on these dates with these men, and you're talking to them and you're explaining your life and you're giving them your lore up until this point, right? You're framing it as trauma. And like, these men are not mental health professionals. They're not therapists. They're not psychiatrists. Like, they don't know what to do with that. Right? And so you want to be very mindful, very careful, and very selective. You don't want to be sharing these things about you during those first couple dates. You don't want to share these things about you during the first, I would say, at least the first 4 dates. At least the first 4 dates. Honestly, it should not be before the first 3 months. I feel like 90 days, he should not know all of your deepest traumas and your biggest heartbreaks. Even if it feels good and beautiful and safe and like such a match, the chemistry is through the roof. You've never felt this comfortable with a man before. You've never felt this seen by a man before. Even if all of those things are happening, it's natural to feel that way about someone new. Your dopamine is through the roof. He is new to you. You've never experienced before. You've probably been single for a while. You probably haven't connected with a man for a while. This feels good. You want to share all these things about yourself, and he may be presenting himself as someone that's safe, and it doesn't really mean that he isn't. He could very well be someone that's safe, but you have to give him time to show you that. Those parts of you that are tender, those parts of you that are broken, those parts of you that are hurt, it requires safety. It requires understanding. It requires compassion. It requires empathy. It requires somebody who sees you in a way that is beyond just the surface. For them to be able to receive all of that, create safety for that, and to support that, right? Give him an opportunity to get to know you. Give yourself an opportunity to get to know him. You don't need to be dumping all of that up front. Keep it light, keep it fun, keep it exciting, and keep it honest. But you don't have to tell him all of your business. You don't have to tell him every single thing you've ever been through in your life up until this point. Your dad left. Your mom was on drugs. Your ex, he kept cheating on you. Your best friend, she slept with your some dude that you were talking to, and she knew how much you liked him, and that broke your trust in women. And all of these things that have happened to you, right? You just come off like a broken little pathetic thing. And nobody wants to invest in that emotionally, because what if I can't love her past her pain? What if that's too much? What if this comes up in other ways, right? And you also don't want to attract the type of man who would see you as prey. Emotional and mental prey. Someone that, you know, she does have areas that is weak, and that's an opportunity for me to kind of get in and penetrate where she's weak and pretend that I'm some type of superhero, because I know that this is where her void is. And if I can just fill that void with something superficial, I can get something from her. And so keeping it tight and keeping things to yourself also protects you. It protects you from another traumatic experience with men. It protects you from somebody hurting you, someone deceiving you, someone misusing vulnerable information about you. And so those parts of you that are sacred, you want to protect that. And not in a way where you're paranoid about everybody, you're paranoid about him, and what if, you know, I don't necessarily want you to be, you know, to walk around paranoid about men or paranoid about people, but I do want you to not show up in this way that is like this broken winged bird, because you are not. You are not your experiences. You are not the things that you've gone through. You are not the times that you were cheated on. You are not the times that you were abused and taken advantage of. You are not the times that you were abandoned. You are not the reason for either of your parents leaving you, abandoning you, prioritizing other things over you. And when we embody those things as if they define who we are, they make up who we are. They definitely make up who we are, but they don't come to define who we are. Right? And so when you carry these experiences as if they're some type of proclamation for who you are, and it's not, it's just things that you've been through. We've all been through things, right? We've all been hurt by things. We've all been disappointed by people. But you want to hold that down. And something else you want to keep in mind too, during those early dates, do not bring up your ex. Stop bringing up your ex. Even if he brings up his ex, it's not an opportunity for you to be like, yeah, and then my ex, and then you go into the whole lore about what your ex did to you, right? And sometimes guys will use that as a test. They might mention something about their ex, you know, because they are prying for information. And you can acknowledge if he's bringing up something about his ex, right? You can, oh yeah, you know, I'm sorry you went through that. Oh damn, that must have been tough. Wow, that's crazy, right? And you can leave it right there, because that could be your way of letting him know, like, hey, like, this is not really, that's not a conversation I'm wanting to have with you. I don't want us to sit here while we're trying to get to know each other and we're dumping about what our exes did, because that's a sign that you're not over your ex. And if he's constantly bringing up his ex, that's a sign that he's not over his ex. And the worst type of man you could date is a man that's not over his ex, right? Like, men don't love as easily as women, but when they do love, they love hard. And sometimes it does take them a while to get over heartbreak, get over being left, get over losing a woman that they thought they were going to be with for a long time. It takes them a while to get over that, even longer than us as women. And so you don't want to get into that whole, like, well, my ex did this. Oh, man, like, let me one up you when my ex did this. You don't want to get into that. Don't bring up the ex. Don't talk about the ex. Don't seek out opportunities. Even if he says something that you can say, oh, well, I remember when don't even bring it up. Do not bring up your ex. Don't do it. Don't do it. And another thing that you want to do when you are bringing up stories about things that you've been through, think about when, like, you're in job interviews, right? And they're asking about your previous experiences. What the recruiter, what the hiring manager, the person that you are ultimately technically auditioning for, because that's what an audition is. I mean, that's what an interview is. You're auditioning for the role, right? You're interviewing for the role. You're presenting yourself as the best option for the role. And that is what dating is. You're presenting yourself as the best option for him, and he's presenting himself as the best option for you. Same thing like in interviews, when the recruiter, the hiring manager, when they get to asking you those questions about your previous roles, why did you leave that job? You're not going to say, well, I left that job because I hated my manager. He always was giving me more than what my job description required. It was hard for me to even get a meeting with him. I was always having to do my other coworkers' work. I was always picking up the slack for everyone else. I was never getting, I was never up for promotions no matter how hard I work, and I felt like I was wasting time there. You're not going to say that in an interview. You are going to present the ending of that job with a level of accountability on your part. So you're not going to say that. What you're going to say is, I was looking for a role that had upward mobility opportunities, and I did not think that that was something that was possible in that role. I want to be with a company that I can grow with. I want to be with a company that I can stay with for a long time. I did not believe that those opportunities were there. That company, I really enjoyed my time there. I learned a lot about myself. I learned, I was able to deepen and develop my skills as a professional. That's how you're going to answer the question, right? You're going to answer the question in a way where that does not speak badly about your past employer, but also doesn't make you sound like some unaccountable slack that hated your job. Because if you hated that job, and also the things that you're saying you hated might be present in this role. And so if you hated it there, you might hate it here too. And so you always want to speak about any past relationship with a level of accountability. This is something that any healthy, emotionally healthy person is going to look for, right? Even if you're dating him and he's bringing up his ex and he's talking about, oh, she did this and she did that. And, like, I can't deal with a woman that's this and she was all of these bad things. You're going to question that too. Like, well, where's his accountability? Where did he go wrong? Does he see the part that he played in a demise? Because a relationship takes two, right? He's going to be wondering the same thing. When you're talking about, oh, he always did this and he never did that, and I always brought this up to him, and it's like it was going in one ear and out the other. He never took any of my concerns seriously, and I just couldn't do it anymore. Where's your accountability? Where's your accountability? Where did you go wrong? Where were you falling short? So if there does have to be a situation where the exes come up, like, hey, because I've had situations where, I'm divorced, and I've dated, and they've asked me, like, well, hey, like, you're divorced, and they'll ask me about it, like, well, not details about what happened to that, because I'm not giving anybody details, but I'll speak about it very briefly, like, hey, irreconcilable differences. He was, a great guy, and, he was great in his ways, and, but it just wasn't conducive to a forever relationship. There were some breakdowns, there were some opportunities for improvement, on both of our part, and, ultimately we were not able to make it work. Right? I don't have to give you details, nor do I have to lie and say that this was a perfect relationship and it just ended. It was obviously not a perfect relationship because it ended in a breakup or divorce. And here I am now back on the dating market, and I'm not going to lie and say it was perfect, but I'm also not about to give you details that you don't need. Right? These things can come out in time, right? If I'm with someone and the first date, the question is, hey, why did you end up divorced? I'm going to keep the answer very light. Now, as the relationship progresses, and we begin to talk about in detail our past, things that we've been through, after we've built trust, after we've built up, safety, after we've built up safety with one another, then I can say, and did I tell you about that time he did this? Right? And then we can laugh about it, but we're not doing that on date one, right? And so keep that in mind. Stop oversharing. I know so many women that overshare, and so many women that's just like, well, I just want to be honest and I just want to be myself, and I feel you, I hear you, but there's time and a place for that. There's going to be an opportunity for you to come to him as your full and whole self, but he has to earn that. First date is not earning that. Second date is not earning that. Honestly, those first 3 months, he hasn't earned it. Someone can be very safe in the first month. Remember, a lot of us are out here performing, and a lot of us have what I call performative safety. They might seem like they're a safe person, but they're not. They might seem like they're a non-judgmental person, but they're not. A lot of men will feign that because they want details that they can take and make a judgment to not deal with the woman in front of him. Some of them are looking for opportunities to opt out of you because they're also running from things, and they're also seeking out things. And everybody's out here thinking that they're searching for the perfect partner when they're really just responding to their fears of abandonment and rejection. So you want to keep that in mind. I hope that was helpful. If you are here and you are not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell notification so you know when I post a new video and when I go live. Make sure you like, comment, all the things. And I will see you on the next one. Bye.